Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel database, which will have plot synopsis and character bio. So we are going to be looking at Iron Man 218 from 1987. We are continuing the road to Stark Wars. So, great cover here by Mark Bright and Bob Layton. And it's kind of funny, Mark Bright's signature is here in this portion that's blacked out. So, we have unfortunately lost Mark Bright last week. We lost Ed Piskor. As of this recording, we lost both Ed Piskor and Mark Bright in the same week. So, um, yeah, so Mark Bright is the penciler um, of this. He was the penciler during Denny O'Neil's run, and then he kind of was the penciler for the first part of the Stark Wars. And then after the Stark Wars, Jackson Geiss, or sometimes known as Butch, is the new penciler. So good cover, kind of an underwater armor. So, all right. So, we're in England here. In England, the ability to maintain one's dignity under stress is a trait not only cultivated and admired, but expected. Thus, as a visitor to this fair land, American inventor Anthony Stark struggles to regain his composure under circumstances that are most unexpected. So, um, you see here that Stark's being held at gunpoint here. Um, Sorry, I seem to have left my wallet in my other pants in Los Angeles. I'd be happy to go get it for you. So, shut up, says the gunman. And so we got our title, Deep Trouble. And of course, we have David Michelinie, who is doing the plot and the script. In this case, Bob Layton is doing the entire art. So he's doing the pencil and the inks. So maybe that explains why Mark Bright was not on the cover. Perhaps Bob Layton did do the entire thing. Bob Layton is the best Iron Man artist that is out there. Debate your mama. I am not gonna. There's nobody else that does Iron Man better than Bob Layton. Um, no one, no one, no one. So Bob Layton is the best Iron Man artist. Um, and definitely, and if you're going to argue that maybe he's not the best penciler for Iron Man, he is definitely the greatest Iron Man inker. So, all right. So, uh, you no more think we're crooks than we think you're a tourist, mate. So just get out of the car and follow that path like a bright boy. So, here he gets his little suitcase here where he keeps his armor. And so Tony thinks, I thought something was odd when these security agents who met me at the airport brought me out to the country instead of this of into London. They said it was a precaution. I'll bet the real Ministry of Defense delegates are still looking at Heathrow looking for me. I only hope they don't end up finding me in the obituaries. So, um, these two people here are meeting, like this guy here. Um, Very Miami Vice-ish. The trend in the 80s was t-shirts or shirts, no ties with the suit. So, good morning, Mr. Stark. I'm Irina Tarasova, and before you consider anything foolish, let me assure you that my friend here is not reaching for a pack of cigarettes. You are wise enough to know whom I represent, just as you are wise enough to know that that my people cannot allow you to succeed in your mission here. So be a smart capitalist. Go home and hope I do not one day. Oh, sorry, and hope as I do that one day we can meet again on friendlier terms. And so, kind of in a flirty way here. And so they're walking off. Alas, this road is not well traveled, but you should be able to find transportation eventually. Dos Vedonia, so she's Russian. So lucky he brought his little armor. So, however, as the bogus government limo speeds away, I'll find transportation, alright, but not the sort Miss KGB had in mind. So, he's gonna get the armor. Um, yeah. So let's just say that during the 60s, 70s, and 80s, um, the armor was not the problem. And how much does this thing weigh? So, all right. So he puts on his armor. It's the silver Centurion, which is one that I truly enjoy. It's nostalgic for me. Um, it was when I first saw it, it just was so cool. It's so different. So love the screen tones that are being applied here. So you think you got the message, Miss Tarasova? If he's a little smart, he will cooperate. If he is a lot smart, he could be dangerous. We shall see. I'm just glad he stopped using that Iron Man bloke for his personal bodyguard. Yeah, if he hadn't made that costume blight his corporate symbol, our number would have been, and so, up. And you can see that they're being flown up. So, and Tony's like, seems you folks are having a little car trouble. Maybe I can help. Let me check under the hood. So, there's a problem. It's a loose engine. Never would have expected that from a Lincoln. So, don't worry, Missy, I'll stop him. And she's like, don't be a fool, as he shoots him. And so, if I were you, I'd listen to the lady. And now, the lady is going to listen to me. I still protect Mr. Stark, but now I also protect his interests, and that includes the project that brought him to England. Again, look at the screen tones. I don't use screen tones very often, but I do use them for Iron Man. When I draw Iron Man, I try to incorporate the screen tones. There are 1,000, perhaps tens of thousands of lives at stakes. Don't force me to choose between them and you. As I told my driver, comrade, we shall see. Yes, I suppose we shall. And so as Iron Man leaves, we get here. Irina Tarasova smiles, a cold, humorless line. I like how they tell you here. And moments later, after Iron Man has retrieved his armor tote and his civilian clothing, it's just why wouldn't he just put the armor over it? What does he have to get naked? I don't get it, but all right. So we continue to get some exposition here from his thoughts here. So I figured it would come to this somehow. I guess I've known it from the moment it all started 3 days ago at Stark Enterprises headquarters in Southern California. So I love how they, because of course we're reading this, so we're Jim Shooter had a rule. Every comic can be somebody else's first comic, so try to give them as much information as you can. So so I love it. Like he thinks, oh, in Southern California, nobody thinks like that. But how may I help you, Mr. Kuttner? So as you're aware, Mr. Stark, the State Department has sent me here on a matter of extreme confidentiality. A special low-light photography system and developed was used in the recent exploratory search of the sunken vessel Titanic, was it not? Why, yes. Was there a problem? Oh, no, Mr. Stark. The equipment performed splendidly, which unfortunately has led me to something of a crisis in national security. So, we continue here. This photograph shows here Uh, here to. Oh my God. Sometimes these writers use words. And Stanley liked it because it made people go to a dictionary to try and find a word, but goodness gracious, what a big word. So heretofore, I looked it up here, means before now. So this photograph shows before now unseen debris. What a big word, heretofore. Goodness gracious. Um, that central canister was something of a mystery until recently, when its serial number was finally traced to a file predating World War One. It was apparently associated with an Anglo-American team working on the development of chemical weapons. Chemical, says Stark. But Mr. Kuttner, this canister looks like it's starting to decompose. Yes, the paraffin coating is eroding, and the only person who can tell us the specific contents of that canister is a sole surviving member of the research team, Carter Hastings, an old coot, a recluse, now an eccentric, has a neurotic fear of government, won't talk to anyone. Mr. Kuttner, he'll talk to me. So, I promise I'd do my best, he continues here, and I have. But the equations changed when I contacted the Ministry of Defense a few minutes ago via my helmet radio to let them know I'd get Hastings on my own. I told them there was a leak in their security, and I doubt I've seen the last of Miss Tarasova. So he begins to take off his armor, and how inefficient. Gotta take off the armor and put it in the suitcase. So, nevertheless, so this is Hastings' hideaway. Certainly doesn't look very dangerous, and so he guys comes off with the gun. I don't think guns are allowed in England. I don't know. Get off my property, and then he starts to cough. Ya Parliament pup, lest you want to be buried here, and he's coughing. Whoa, old timer, I'm not even British. I like how they in the old they would do for a surprise, like startle or something like that. They would do these lines. Don't matter, I can smell authority a mile away. And so he's having issues breathing. Get out. If you just read this letter of introduction first, and he gives him this, won't do you no good. I've read more summonses than you could. And he's like, gasp! A personal request from Her Majesty. You mean, won't you come in, he says. So, and so Stark thinks, the poor fellow's frail, obviously in ill health. I'll have to be gentle. You say you were actually aboard the Titanic on her tragic voyages, Mr. Hastings? Aye, that I was. And he starts to continue to cough here. Care for a bit of fortitude with that, Sonny? No, thanks. Plain tea is fine. Please go on. So, right. We thought the sinking of the Titanic was a nightmare, but the canister was worse. It contained the strongest death gas we'd ever devised. When it sank to the bottom of the Atlantic, I thought things was over. But through the years, I've somehow known that someday I'd be punished. And Stark says, punished? Aye, you see, I was accompanying that canister to America for further testing. But when I was rescued, I told my superiors that further calculations showed the gas wasn't effective at all. The project was scrubbed. But those calculations really proved that the gas wouldn't dissipate, that it would linger for days, weeks, cutting a path of horror wherever the wind took it. I couldn't have those civilian deaths on my conscience. But now if the gas escapes that rupturing canister, Mr. Stark, you gotta stop it. You must. And he begins to cough here. Take it easy, Mr. Hastings. I promise I'll do everything I can. And so, of course, the Russians were listening. That bug you planted in the Yank's pocket when you was smarming up to... Oh, my God. It's really hard to... Because I don't do the accents either, so I do apologize. But basically, they put a bug on him. And she says, "Da, and the words we've heard are more important than you could possibly imagine. The van inside looks bigger than outside, so open the clandestine broadcast frequency. Full scramble. I must speak with the head of our oceanic operations at once," she says. So we're now 2 days later here. The exploratory sub has returned, Commander. The latest data is being fed into my diver's computer. Love how Stark is dressed. So, after which it will be passed along to your frigate sensors inputs as per our plan. Just remember, if those sensors detect the slightest trace of toxicity in the water, don't worry, we'll shag out here faster than Marcos left Manila. Good luck. So that previous reference was in regards to Ferdinand Marcos, who was a dictator in the Philippines. So it's one of these things when you read these older comic books. So so Tony continues. I love how he's got wearing loafers, socks. Oh my God. So luck has very little to do with it. Ever since my battery of individualized armor was destroyed in a panic move to make sure they wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. This is an Iron Man 174 to 175. I've known there would be special situations which would require specialized capabilities. That is why I built this experimental deep sea armor. My regular Iron Man suit can go underwater, but not for miles or stay down for hours. This suit, on the other hand, utilizes the most recent innovations in undersea technology and was built specifically to withstand the unique conditions of a deep sea environment. Sure wish I'd had time to test it first, so off he goes. I like the gold color. Bob Layton is such a good Iron Man. I I will die on this hill. Bob Layton is the best Iron Man artist. So, I'll never get over how magnificent the underwater world is. It's a beautiful as outer space and just as deadly. I better run a quick systems check. So, down he goes here. Again, we get some screen tones. And finally, he gets to the wreckage of the Titanic. And now he's gonna uh, search for those canisters. So up. Trouble, sir, not as long as they stay where they are. Most of our open sea operations are shadowed by Russian trawlers. They're generally no problem as long as they keep their distance, but still, it might be wise to get Mr. Stark on the horn. Right away, sir, says his second in command here. This is eerie, like walking through a museum untouched by time. But time is something I don't have. If the paraffin coating on that canister has worn down to the metal, it could rust, though, at any. And so he gets the radio. Mr. Stark, Commander Egan, we've got a Soviet vessel in the area. You might want to inform your diver that he might be getting some company. And of course, on cue. And Stark says these are drone subs. So off he goes. He destroys one of them. One of them hits him. And here we go. And he's going to use like an octopus-inspired ink smoke screen. So, and then uses like a sonar in there so he can see. And destroys another of the subs. And so, now that the ink cloud is dispersing, the drones are attacking him again. So, off he goes and uses electricity like an eel. And so, he says here that was almost too easy, and it's almost like he was being set up, and then all of a sudden from behind he's hit. I love the sound effects, thrub. And so we got this huge thing. He was like, "Holy!" And of course, there's the lady here. And your employer should have listened to me, Comrade Iron Man. If he had, you might have lived. And so it's, of course, the voice of, oh my gosh, I already forgot her name. That's all right. I'm sure they will repeat them here. Comrade, I control the robot Leviathan just as it now controls you. And in the difficult game we both play, control means everything. So, only if you keep it. And he shoots these things off the armor. So, your mini torpedoes were merely a distraction, comrade. Nothing you can do will keep us from crushing that canister. Crushing it. Consider the headlines. Thousands die from American chemical weapons. The fact that it was developed decades ago will only add to the belief that the United States has always been suspect. To be blunt, comrade, that canister is the most powerful propaganda tool of the century. You know, it's kind of funny. Even it doesn't matter. 80s, it doesn't matter. War and countries, it is destruction rampant. Nothing new, man. There's nothing new under the sun, as the old saying goes. Stark can't believe that they would murder thousands of people just to make the United States look bad, but yes. That's what countries would do. Ours too. I'm not under any kind of blind it's just how it is. So those with power want more power. That's what it is. So all right, so he grabs the canister and puts it in his storage unit, and he's gonna try to get away, but he's caught. So and you can see here he's going to let this thing out, and he's able to like an armor inside the armor. And so he leaves the rest of the armor to self-destruct. And so off he goes. So he's reached depths where, or not, sorry, he's reached heights now where it's his regular armor is going to be able to survive. And here's the Russian ship. And so he shoots at it. So, Madame Tarasova, we are taking on water rapidly. We must abandon ship. Then radio our air rescue team and begin evacuation. This incident has been costly and embarrassing, but the score shall be even someday, perhaps. Someday soon, she says. And so we get our epilogue here. So we're a couple days later, and we're in the hospital. And so Tony's visiting the old man there. Says the doctor says he's dying. The strain was too much for his age and condition, and they don't expect him to last the night. And so Mr. Hastings, and he says, it's you. It is in good hands, sir. It will be disposed of safely. Thank heavens, now I can sleep. And Tony closes his eyes and says, sleep well, Mr. Hastings, in peace. Be a little less, and may the next world be a little less mad than this one. So, the end. So, Iron Man 218 by David Michelinie and Bob Layton, no Mark Bright. So, as I said, we're on the road to Stark Wars. Bob Layton and David Michelinie, during their second run here, craft a great tale. So, like and subscribe, and I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.